Thank you. Everybody hear me? Okay. Just want to thank everybody for taking the time out to join us this afternoon or late morning, depending on where you're calling in from. My name is Rich Swerbinski. I am with the Mortgage Collaborative. I oversee our sales and strategic alliance efforts nationally. And the Mortgage Collaborative, for those that don't know, we're a national cooperative network of small to mid-sized mortgage lenders across America, deliver a series of membership benefits to our members, one of them being preferred partner network of companies, 46 companies of which Docutech is one of them, that all offer something unique to our lender members, usually in the form of reduced cost of their products and services. Another big part of what we do as an organization is that we have a year-long networking and educational platform, webinars every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, like this one, is a big part of that. We also have two really excellent lender member conferences every year in February and August. We have one coming up in Tucson here in February 21st through 23rd. So, and much more information on us and those conferences and the network and everything can be found at mortgagecollaborative.com. So, very excited today to have our partners at Docutech and also Veri-Tax here with us for a very relevant topic, the new 4506T document that was implemented late last year, talking about some of the changes, some of the potential changes for lenders in ordering them, and what the requirements are. We're very happy to have two subject matter experts on the topic with us today. We are going to hear first from Lisa Inta, who is the product manager from Veri-Tax. She's been at Veri-Tax just since September of last year, maybe coincidentally, the same timing as the implementation of the new 4506T form, but she was at First American for several years before that, and really vast industry background prior to her time at Veri-Tax. After that, we're going to hear from Rick Finlayson, who's the product manager for Docutech. He has been at Docutech for 9 years, and in his current role as a product manager, really focuses on new innovative solutions for their mortgage platform, and has a decorated background in the software and mortgage industry. So with that, I am going to turn it over to our first speaker, Lisa. Thank you for joining us, and I will officially pass the baton.
Thank you. Thank you, Rich, for that warm introduction. And I wanted to thank both Mortgage Collaborative and Docutech for inviting us to participate in this webinar. So welcome, everyone. We hope you come out of this webinar with valuable information and takeaways to ensure you and your 4506T provider are prepared. So I actually have a Q&A session after my presentation, and I've invited a few members from the Veri-Tax team to participate. They'll be coming from the operations side as well as IT, and I'll introduce them at that time, but during my presentation, if there's any questions that you guys have, feel free to submit them through the question portal so that we can be ready at that moment. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so here with the agenda, I'll go over general information of the 4506T, then we'll discuss those changes and have a Q&A session. And after my Q&A session, then I will pass it over to Rick, where he'll give you how to order the tax documents, the automated high-level workflow, real-world application, and then again, we'll have another Q&A session. All right, so as a partner with Docutech, our partnership has afforded us, both our organizations, great success with the 4506T product. And I wanted to share those contributing factors with you. One of them is being an IVES participant. IVES is an Income Verification Express Service. It's an IRS program that was specifically designed for the mortgage lending community and financial institutions. So this program electronically delivers tax transcripts to IVES participants. If you weren't an IVES participant, then you'd have to go through the normal channels of requesting the 4506T, and that can take longer because you receive it through mail only. So this is a key factor in offering this service through, for the 4506T product. And a few benefits that come with being a participant is that you have a quicker turnaround time. The IRS currently quotes a two business day turnaround time, and typically it's actually around 3 to 4 business days, which is still better than 5 to 10 calendar days if you weren't a non-participant. With us, we actually have 2 dedicated processing centers, one in Ogden, Utah, and the other in Austin, Texas. We've had them as our processing centers for very long, so we actually have a great relationship with both those centers, very good communication. And another thing is we also get constant communication from the IRS. So we're made aware of any processing delays, any system downtimes, like for example, with Martin Luther King coming around the corner, they're going to be closed. They also tell us if there's any kind of modified processing times. Just recently, there was an update where they couldn't process business tax returns, both the 1065s and the 1120s. So they provided that information to us, and we in turn updated our website to make sure that our mutual customers are informed of those impacts to the customer. And then, of course, when they did finally tell us that was fixed, we also updated our website again. So we're constantly communicating to our mutual customers to make sure they know the expectations of their 4506T order. Now with the tax transcripts, obviously if you can see that these are familiar fields, the required information to make sure you've got all that you need when you're making your 45OT request. And while it seems straightforward, there's still room for error, and you can potentially result in rejections. So we have a comprehensive quality control process to prevent rejections. For example, if it's illegible, they're going to turn around and reject it. And we want to try to prevent that. So in our processing team, we have tools where we can actually insert the correct information above the text in question. And that way, when the processing centers, the IRS processing centers receive our form, they can see, okay, well, you know what, that looks like it says 1148, but there's a text above it that says it's actually 1198. And it could be just because, if it was handwritten, we want to, make sure that we can try to hedge that before we submit it to the IRS for processing. Other examples, like say for instance, the signature date. Since we are a third party, we are subject to making sure that the date is 120 days within, that they receive it within 120 days of that date. So we're looking through that. And then there's some, there's some samples, some situations where we can't necessarily control what they put on the 4506T. Like, let's say, for example, the address is showing apartment, APT, but the tax return has unit. Well, we don't have any way of knowing that, and we can't necessarily control that, but through training and educating our customers, we can try to help prevent that, those type of scenarios. So you see these are, the typical fields that you expect to complete in the tax transcripts. But now you know that they made some revisions in September. And we actually already, both teams, both Veri-Tax and Docutech, have already put the new form in place. And so let me go ahead and show you those. Alrighty. All right, so here's the September version, and you have the right version just by looking at the top left corner. You've got the revision date, September 2015, and also on the right bottom corner, it also gives you that revision date. So the most significant change that they've made on the form is some new language that falls right below the caution, and that is a declaration by the taxpayer or the person who is authorized, and basically saying, yes, I am this person, and I have to check this box to also agree that I have the authority to sign this. So if you don't check this box, then you're going to be, your order is going to get rejected. So, you know, both our team, Veri-Tax team and the Docutech team, we've got systems in place, processes in place to make sure that that doesn't happen. And then on the second page, they've got some language under the signature date section where, again, it reminds you, make sure you sign that box, otherwise we're going to return that form back to you, and obviously that will result in a processing delay for you. And then the third piece is error language. You know, making sure that if you are an heir or next of kin, that you need to establish material interest in the estate or trust. And so those are the big changes for the 4506T. And March 1 is basically your drop dead date. So if you submit a form that is not the September version, then they will reject it. And of course, we don't want that to happen, right? You know, up until March, you could use older forms, but just be aware that by March 1, that's pretty much their drop dead date. So some of these slides, it's just a reiteration of those, and we're going to have the deck available for you guys after the webinar, and then hopefully, you know, all that you'll have all that information available for you so that you can be ready. And so here's a quick consolidated screenshot of the changes, and just to give you a quick summary of what those are. All right, so here's our question and answer opportunity. Does anybody have any questions? Nope. For Charles or Stephanie or Adam, was there anything that you wanted to add with the 4506T changes?
Hey, Lisa, I'm actually going to jump in there. I do see a couple questions in. I do have one from Suzanne. It says, how do we know if we're an IVES participant?
How do you, oh, okay. Charles, you wanted, I'll defer to Charles for that. Might be on mute. Uh-oh.
Hi, this is
Suzanne?
Rick. This is Rick. It sounds like they might be having some audio difficulties. I could address the question if you'd like, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, the IVES program. The IVES program isn't directed for lenders. It's directed at people who are vendors, 4506T vendors, and they have established a previous relationship with the IRS. You have to go through a process. You have to meet certain standards. You have to have set up an integration with the IRS. And once you've gone through all of those steps to become an IVES vendor, you're now an IVES vendor for the IRS, and you have the ability to submit express requests for tax documents. So it would more be a question, I think it was Suzanne or Suzette, it would more be a question of, is your 4506T vendor an IVES participant? Does that make sense?
So I do see another question that did come in. Guys, if you want to answer this one as well, we've got a couple more. It says, do you have to submit both pages of the new form?
Hi, this is Charles. I've come into the office where Lisa is. So you don't have to submit both pages of the form. Our system does allow you to upload those pages, so it's not an issue for us to take both pages.
Okay, thanks, Charles. And then a couple more questions. It says, what is the fee for each return?
That can vary, right?
The IRS charges $2 per tax year requested.
Awesome, thank you. And then I think one more question, unless someone else would like to submit some questions through our question portal on GoToWebinar. But it says from Dawn, can you pre-populate the form for the borrower and have them sign? Many times they complete the form incorrectly.
Yes, you can absolutely pre-populate it, and they would obviously need to sign it and check the attestation box. But there's no issue as long as the taxpayer is the one signing the form.
Okay, it looks like we've got a couple more questions coming in. One of them is, what is the turnaround time if you are enrolled in the IVES program?
So Lisa had highlighted some of the information on the IRS.gov IVES site reports that they look for a 24 to 48 hour turn time. However, in our contact with senior members of the IVES program and the IRS, we've found and we see that the turnaround times that they're targeting right now are between like 3 to 5 days. 3 to 4 is their hard target, but 3 to 5 is almost acceptable to them. Obviously, it's not acceptable to us, and we're always driving to see if we can get them to go a little bit faster.
Okay, it looks like we have a couple more questions here. One is, can you pre-populate the form with the checkbox already checked, leaving the customer to only need to sign the form?
So a little bit of background from an IRS perspective. The driving force behind the attestation box is all about fraud, and that they're getting the consent of the person who is authorized to request this information to attest that. So for me, I don't think it's appropriate to pre-populate it. I think it is something that the taxpayer needs to do him or herself to date the form, sign it, and select or check the attestation box.
And just to add on to that, Rick Finlayson will actually show you that that attestation box must be checked and you can't really move forward. And even on the Veri-Tax side, we also have systems in place where you have to proactively mark that box as you're completing the form.
Perfect. Well, thank you, guys. It looks like that's all the questions we have for right now. I did see one come in that was asking about if Docutech does add any fees. We can address those in a follow-up Q&A. We will have some information at the end of our presentation to go ahead and reach out to all of the partners and discuss some inner workings of those fees and different things of that nature. So at this point in time, Lisa, did you have anything more to add to your section of the presentation?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and turn it over to Rick. Rick, it's all yours.
Hi, thank you. Thanks, Lisa. Appreciate that information. As Lisa mentioned, Docutech as a document provider and Veri-Tax as a 4506T vendor have had a relationship for some period of time. It's been a fruitful relationship and great to work with them. I wanted to make sure, I need to get caught up. Apologize, guys, I'm having some technical difficulties. All right, I think I'm caught up. I wanted to walk through, Lisa talked at the start of her presentation about the agenda, and the parts that I'll be covering is I'll be talking about how do you order docs from an IVES vendor, and then I'd also like to go through a high-level workflow of what an automated ordering process for 4506Ts look like. And I'd like to take a look at a real-world scenario. We've talked about a lot of things, and for me, it's really helpful to be able to actually see it. Then I tend to understand it a lot better. So how do I order docs from an IS vendor? The first thing that you need to have done is you need to have received an e-signed version of the 4506T and the associated audit log for that. Once you have that in hand, you're able to log into a 4506T vendor's website. This is a relationship that you would already have established with a 4506T vendor. You would have already received credentials, a login to account, things of that nature. Once you log into their website, you would manually enter the necessary information.
Hey, Rick, I'm actually going to interrupt you there. I apologize, guys. It looks like we can't see your screen on this end of things. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Please continue. Sorry.
Okay, my bad. Apologize. Once you've logged in and entered the information manually that's necessary to receive documents, you then have to select the forms that you'd like to order, whether it be 1040, whether it be W-2 forms, whatever you'd like to order. You select those forms. Then in the process, once you've done that, you would upload the 4506T that's been e-signed by the borrower. And you would also upload the associated audit log. Once that's been submitted to the vendor, they're then able to submit an express request to the IRS. Once they've submitted that, it's in the IRS's hands, and that's where we talked about the turnaround times. The IRS, once those documents have been retrieved and returned to the 4506T vendor, the loan closer would receive a notification that your documents are ready. Once you receive that notification, the closer would then be able to, again, log into the vendor's website and retrieve their tax documents. That's how the process goes today, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about an automated. I wanted to look at the high-level workflow of an automated integration. And this is how it works. We're going to assume that you've already received an e-signed version of 4506T and that associated audit log. Once that has occurred, there's a queue in the system that informs the closer that there's been an e-signed 4506T, and it alerts you to that fact. Once you've been alerted, you can then, depending on your process and when it's time to order those tax documents, you can then submit that request for IRS records to the 4506 vendor. And that's automated. It's simply a matter of clicking the button to submit that order. Once the order has been submitted, the data that's already been pre-filled on your loan documents would be pulled in and automatically filled out on the order form. We also would automatically retrieve the e-signed 4506T and the associated audit log. Those are automatically bundled up, compiled together, and then sent over automatically to Veri-Tax. Veri-Tax then would hand it off, submit it to the IRS through their express request as an IS vendor, and then it's in the IRS's hands. Once the IRS has completed those, it would go, as we've already described, an email notification would be sent back to the closer. The closer would then be able to log in to the Veri-Tax website and retrieve those documents. That's the workflow, a high-level workflow. As I mentioned, I wanted to show you how this works, what it looks like. Just a minute, and I'll pull up our application. Can you see the screen okay? Can you see that? It looks a little different. I'm in full screen mode. Are you guys able to see that all right, David?
Yes, we can, Rick.
Okay, great. This is Docutech. This is what our interface looks like. We've got, this is the landing screen, and as you come into the landing screen, you'll click into your existing loans. Once you get into your existing loans, it shows you all of the loans that you've got in queue. I've kind of already got a loan all ready to go. And let me describe to you what just happened. I didn't go through the whole process of generating documents because the focus of this, of course, is the 4506T. But let me explain what happened because there was a lot that just happened in that little bit. You can see on the left-hand side in the menu bar, these are the normal steps that we would go through in order to generate documents. You would import your information from your loan origination system, select the loan program. There would be some default configurations that would be applied. You would review your fees and edit them if you're configured to be able to edit fees. We then would go through and see if there's any missing data points. And if there are missing data points, we'd give you the opportunity to fill out those data points so that we're able to generate documents. I'm already at that point. We've already generated the documents. And this is an initial disclosure package, and these are all the documents. I'm going to uncheck them. We're just going to go through, show you a couple of documents. Again, we're focusing on the 4506T. I am going to include a Patriot Act disclosure because it'll help to highlight something in the e-sign process. We'll go ahead and send those out for e-sign. This is the point in the process where you're able to, again, to have selected documents and then determine that you're going to send them to a borrower so that they're able to e-sign these documents. I'm going to go ahead and send those documents out. As it's generating the documents, what it's doing is basically compiling all the documents that are available in that list. It's going and sending those to the borrower's desired email address, getting everything set up, getting the signature lines put onto those forms so that when the borrower receives it, they're able to quickly go through and in a few simple clicks, they're able to e-sign the document. I don't know if it showed up or not, but there was a notification that just showed up in the top right of my screen, and that was indicating that an email had been sent. Now, up to this point in the process, I've been acting as the loan closer. I'm going to switch hats, and I'm going to switch over and be the borrower for a second so that you can see how it looks for the borrower to be able to e-sign those documents. All right, so the borrower has received the documents. They received an email indicating that they have documents that need to be signed via e-sign. I've gone ahead and clicked that link, and this is what the e-sign portal looks like for that borrower. This is a configurable screen, allows you to welcome the borrower any way that you see fit. Once you've gone through that part of the process, there is an authentication process. This is also configurable. You can have any number of loan data points so that you know that the person that's in that loan is authorized to be there based on some of the key information that they know about this loan. I've configured this only to be the loan amount, so it'll go through nice and quick. You don't want to have to pull up a bunch of different data points from the loan. But once you confirm your identity and you've said, we know you're who you say you are, we then allow you to go through the e-sign process. You'll see in a moment on the left-hand side the e-sign process. Again, there's a welcome screen, and that's configurable. After they've read through that message, they go through the next step in the process. which is the consent screen. In order to be able to send documents to borrowers via electronic means, you have to receive their consent. Some of this language is, again, configurable, and much of it is required by law, but there are portions of it that are configurable. I'm going to go ahead and give consent to receive documents electronically. Once I've done this, I have the opportunity to be able to review those documents. All right, you can see that I've got a U.S. Patriot Act disclosure. If I continue to scroll down through the documents, you can see it's a 4506T. Again, I'd point out to you that in the top left corner of the 4506T, you can see that this is the September 2015 version. It's the latest version, the latest revision. You can see also that the information, the loan data, pre-populated and had come over automatically. And then I'll point out again that in this, right above the signature line, you can see the attestation clause. And that's what Lisa had spoken about previously, that you've got to check that box in order to be able to submit and order your documents. Once you've reviewed your documents, you go to the next step in the process. And the next step is to actually e-sign those documents. So again, here are the documents, and you can see that there are these little buttons that are present, and that's to be able to e-sign. You can also see that in the center of my screen, there's an instruction box. And this set of instructions is related to the attestation clause. I can go ahead and sign this, and if I do sign it, as Lisa mentioned, in order to prevent people from not checking this box, the attestation clause, we don't allow the borrower to continue until they've checked that box. So they're kind of stuck. Next. Oh, I can't go next. What do I need to do? Oh, I didn't check that box. I'll check the box, hit next, and now my forms have been e-signed and I'm able to submit them. The next step in the process is ink signed documents, and that's the reason why I selected the Patriot Act disclosure. Most of our lenders and clients have determined not to have the Patriot Act disclosure be e-signed. They prefer to have it ink signed. So you can print your documents. I don't know if you noticed or not, in the bottom left corner, for me it popped a PDF of that Patriot Act disclosure. The borrower would then print that, sign it, take it back to their lender. And that's the final process. Once you've done your ink signed documents and printed those, as you can see, the signing process is complete. You now have the ability to be able to print your document package. You can save it as a zip file, and that completes what was done from the borrower's perspective. I'm going to go ahead and switch hats back now. I'm going to put my loan closer hat back on. As you'll recall, the triggering event for a 4506T order is the e-signed 4506T. We've just received a 4506T that's been e-signed. We'll go ahead into the queue. You can see in this queue that one of the loans was just pushed through. You can see by the order date, the date and time stamp on that, that there's one pending and that there's one that's already been accepted. The one that just went through was this one that has a status of pending. You can see in the legend that allows you to click E to order. We'll go ahead and click order. When you click order, again, this is the order form that would be on your 4506T vendor's website. We've got that integrated into our system so that, again, we can pull the information in that's already been entered. You can make your selection for the type of forms you would like to order. You can select the number of years that you'd like to get those documents for, and then put in your address as the loan closer so that you can be notified when that is available and ready. He then clicks the Submit button. And again, what's occurring at this stage is we are grabbing all of the data necessary to send to the 4506T vendor. We're grabbing the e-signed version of the 4506T. We're also grabbing the audit log, bundling it up in a nice package and sending it over to the 4506T vendor. You can see that the order was made successfully. And you'll note that the order status changed. It changed to order accepted. And that is it. That completes the process. That order's been sent out. And now you wait for the 4506T vendors to submit that to the IRS. Once it's been submitted and you've received notification, you'll then log into the vendor's website. Once you've logged into the vendor's website, you'll see that there's a download icon. This shows all of the orders that have been submitted to your 4506T vendor. And this one has documents back. Again, this is just a demonstration. You would click the download button and be able to download and view those tax documents. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. So you can get a look at what that looks like. Again, this is just a test file or a sample file. Don't be alarmed. It just has the information that you've ordered for those tax transcripts. You can see the header at the top, gives you some basic information, and then it goes on through and is all the information that's returned from the IRS that's related to those requests for tax documents. That completes the demonstration for the automated workflow. If there are any questions, go ahead, and David, if you could help me with those questions, if there have been any questions coming through related to that portion of things.
Absolutely, Rick. I do have a couple questions. One came through from Jennifer. She said to confirm on that 4506T order, was the e-signed document automatically included in the order to the IRS so we wouldn't have to upload manually?
That's correct. That is done in the automated integration. If you order documents normally, you would have to go to the vendor's website. You'd have to hand key the information. You would have to get the e-signed PDF and the audit log also. And they have to be tamper sealed. They have to be tamper sealed, and that's what you would have to upload yourself manually. But with our automated integration, all of that part of things is taken out of it for you. It simplifies the process greatly.
Awesome. Thank you, Rick. It looks like I had one more question come through. If anyone has any more questions, we encourage you to go ahead and submit those through the question portal on GoToWebinar. We'd be happy to answer those questions for you. This one says, can this only be done with electronic signature, not signed on paper?
Defer to the Veri-Tax team on that one. My understanding of it is that the IVES program is for the accelerated version of the whole process, and so I believe it's highly focused on the e-sign process. Veri-Tax, you guys can confirm that?
We do both.
Yes.
We accept both the manual form as well as the e-sign. So we can accommodate for either.
And then one other question that came in It says, to be clear, from Docutech, you can upload an e-signed 4506T form to 4506T vendors other than Veri-Tax or just Veri-Tax.
Okay, so the automated submission of forms has to occur with a vendor that we have an existing relationship with, such as Veri-Tax. If you don't have a relation, if you don't use a vendor that we have an automated integration set up with, you would have to get your documents, get the 4506T that's been e-signed, get the audit trail, grab those files separately, make sure that they're tamper sealed, and then upload them to any vendor of your choosing. But in order to utilize the automated workflow, it has to be somebody that we have an established integration with.
And it looks like that's all the questions that we have that came through. So Lisa, Rick, did you have anything else to add to our presentation today?
I don't have anything. I'm good too.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Lisa. And thank you, Rick. And I'm just going to go ahead and turn the time back over to Rich now. Rich, if you just want to go ahead and close us out.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Yeah, I really just wanted to conclude by thanking everybody for joining us, thanking Docutech and Veri-Tax, Lisa, Rick. Great presentation, great content. Really enjoyed the presentation, and you guys joining up with us to do this. And again, thanks to everybody for joining us for the presentation.